No. No. Sony, no. Bad. No. Disney, Marvel, no.
What are you doing?
No.
Can't we just get along, guys? What? I didn't do anything.
Guys, breaking news. This is serious stuff. Disney and Mama Disney and Papa Marvel. Wait, no.
Sony.
It's Papa Sony and Mama Disney are fighting because Spider-Man is potentially leaving the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Disney and Sony Pictures will no longer share Tom Holland's web slinger. This is very early. This is the developing story that just came out. What the hell is going on? You better not be doing this.
Don't ruin this.
What is going on? Well, Joe, you want to know how this came? So Deadline is reporting this news. Do not fuck with our characters, guys. Seriously, please, for the love of God. So the issue, as it often does, reportedly comes down to money.
Shocker.
Money. Sony Pictures has obviously owned the rights to the Spider-Man franchise for decades, and it found great success with the character. You know, you had the Sam Raimi films, Tobey Maguire films, which has made those in way back in the 2000s already grossed nearly $2.5 billion. So this is a case saying Sony is the one that built up Spider-Man when Marvel wasn't around, when Marvel didn't care, when Disney didn't care. Sony did a lot of the heavy lifting. Now, of course, Marvel has come in and has made their universe amazing and great. And, you know, there was at one point where Marvel was about to go out of business, right? Yep. So you can make a case that Sony has built up the character, but Sony films aren't that good, you know, in recent times, right? The good films are with Marvel Studios because they know what they're doing. That's why Disney has them and put money into that. So what happened is they were sharing the character, right? And that's why we got all those movies. They entered an unprecedented agreement with Disney and Marvel. Essentially, Disney got to use Tom Holland's version of Spidey in their Marvel Studios movies. 2016's Captain America, Avengers Infinity War 2018, and then, of course, Endgame. And Marvel Studios chief Kevin Feige produced the Sony Pictures Spider-Man movies for them and integrating those films within the MCU, making Sony's films better, right? Because you've got a smart dude. Yeah. You got a smart dude with Kevin. You got, you know, Tony Stark. You got, you know, all those stars going over and making the Sony films better and giving their advice. Well, what happened? Well, Spider-Man, you know, Homecoming obviously was a hit. And now Spider-Man Far From Home is a huge hit. It has become Sony's #1 highest grossing film of all time with $1.1 billion. Okay, this is more than Skyfall, which was their previous leader. So now they are making a lot of money. Okay, it's like one of the only mega blockbuster hits that wasn't financed by Disney this year. So what's going on? Well, now, according to this report, Disney stipulated to Sony that now it wants to split future Spider-Man movies 50-50.
Give me some money.
We're making all the money on our films. And, you know that deal that we let you have Spider-Man? How much money you make?
Whoa, that's a lot.
That's a lot of money. Let's go 50-50 on the next one. Well, Sony was like, no. You know, what happened to the deal where we keep the profits from that and you keep the profits from your films? Well, basically, you know, Sony was like, no. And Disney said, all right, fine. We're going to remove Kevin Feige. We're going to remove Marvel Studios as the producers of your future films and just basically kick the character out of the MCU sandbox.
So is that going to ruin the other movie? Because there's no Nick Fury, there's no Skrull, and the other ones?
What the fuck is going on, guys? This is a developing story here. This is a great Twitter reaction to this. Tom Holland, when he finds out he has to be in a Sony-made Spider-Man movie. Tom, no! Do not, I repeat, do not let this happen. These money-grubbing motherfuckers.
Well, it's not final,
can't play.
Come on.
It's not final, right? This is a developing story, right? But these guys can't fucking play nice together when you start to make in the billions of dollars, okay? It's ridiculous. You guys got to share the character. Sony has a little bit of some rights here. They hold the rights to the character, right? Now, it's up to Disney and Marvel. If they don't want Sony to have a say in things, they need to buy out Spider-Man. You know, Disney bought out Star Wars. Do you think they're going to charge them like Sony be like, all right, you want to buy them out? $7 billion. $8 billion, right? That's a co-distribution right dispute where they've shared since 2017 Spider-Man Homecoming, and a failure to come to terms has essentially jettisoned Feige and Marvel from future Spidey projects. Does this mean that, you know, now unfortunately Tom Holland has to be in Sony-led movies where they don't have the, you know, good advice?
And how can you forget your father figure, Tony?
Right. Well,
Come
you
on.
forgot about him.
It's like we don't speak of him now. It's like he was your mentor. How dare you?
And then maybe he goes into Venom's universe. So finally, Sony's like, all right, we got the character back. Now we need to combine him.
Well, you know how
with
we
Tom
feel
Hardy.
about Venom.
So Tom Hardy and Venom, you know, well, it could have been better, and it can be better. But you know, I liked aspects of it. Does this mean that the character can now interact with Venom? Yeah. Well, I just hope that this is a misunderstanding and that they continue negotiations because I can't be losing.
Because the only person you're hurting is Tom.
You're
hurting Tom. Stop it. He's a nice guy.
Just about the only person. I don't understand what's happening here. I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
Kid.
I don't want to go.
I don't know what's happening.
I don't want to go. Please. I don't want to go. Guys, seriously, figure this shit out, okay? Hopefully, you know, negotiations are ongoing, but it's like, damn, they're gonna need to figure this out in the future, though. Seriously.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if I had to choose, I'm gonna side with Marvel and Disney. Number one, it's their character. Yes, you brought them up and made a lot of money with them in the past, but it's like, we're doing it right. You know, I don't know if you could be trusted with the character, and I don't know. Okay, just breaking because this story came out so hot. But you know what? I already filmed a damn Angry Rant on it. I don't want to not put up this Angry Rant. So here, Deadline, I think, was the one that came out with the story. But I just looked at Collider, and Collider has an update. So the update is a studio insider told Collider, this comes down to producer credit only, and our understanding is negotiations are ongoing. So what does that exactly mean? That they don't want that if Kevin Feige is gonna serve as producer, he wants a credit. But in order to get that credit, Disney wants to go from 5 to 50%. That's bullshit. Now they're over asking. So no wonder, you know, Sony is like, no. Let's go to Deadline and see if there's an update there. No comment from Marvel or Disney or Sony Pictures. So it's still ongoing. Oh, no, update. Sony insiders counter that Rothman did offer compromises, but Disney declined. This is conflicting updates. Guys, stop screwing around with Spider-Man. Seriously, the films have been great. Let's keep this going. We don't need another goddamn reboot, please. Okay?
No more.
Stop it. No more. So I dug up a little more information. Before you go, check this out. I'll make it very short, just so you understand. So way back in the day, right, when things were bad, Canon Films had the rights. They went bankrupt, which sucks because they fucked up Superman 2, Christopher Reeve's Superman. And the character changed hands several times. Litigation over the ownership left it in court for years. It wasn't until 1999 that Marvel finally reclaimed the film rights from Canon, and then it sold it to Sony for $7 million, Joe. They actually said, Sony, you can have all of the film rights to our characters, for all of our characters, for $22 million. But Sony was like, we only want Spider-Man, so it's $7 million. So get this.
Fools.
The update is Sony has the rights, period. They own the rights to the movies, meaning that you can't get them back if Sony doesn't want to sell them. That's the crazy part. And if they do sell them, it's going to be a lot more for $7 million.
Oh, yeah.
Going to be like $7 billion. Like I said earlier, right? Okay.
a great investment.
So here's the plan. So Sony recently said that Sony has 7 to 8 years of content planned for their Spider-Man because it's theirs and they're doing this, right? And then in 2015, Sony struck a 5-movie deal with Marvel Studios, which permitted Spider-Man to be a part of the cinematic universe. And that's what we're talking about right now. And get this, the contract was revealed that if Spider-Man Far From Home doesn't make $1 billion, then Sony can break free of the Marvel Studios deal and do its own thing. But guess what? From all these recent reports, it has been revealed that Spider-Man has made $1 billion, right? So how much did it make? $1.1 billion, which means that Marvel then still has the right to do their third film like they wanted to do, okay? So the Sony and Marvel Studio deal will still hold at least for one more solo Spider-Man movie, and because it broke the 1 billion mark, okay? So they're locked into that if you guys are worried about that. But this is still a big news story because Sony Pictures owns the rights, period. So after they get to do their third film in collaboration with Sony, which, you know, is the one after Far From Home. You know, then what do they do from there? That's when these two are going to continue to fight, right? And it's going to be fucking crazy. So the whole video still applies. The whole Angry Rant still applies, but it's going to show up again after the third film, since this film made $1 billion. So Sony is contractually obligated to do this. I guess they're fighting over producer credits.
We didn't know that was going to happen.
They're already starting to fight before they even finish the goddamn 5-picture deal or whatever deal it is, and they're going to do that. But see, so Marvel Studios has cleverly bought 20th Century Fox, where the X-Men, which was the other really big generating one, right? Deadpool and X-Men, right? Well, it's going to be even more now when they integrate it in here, Joe. But the last big ones left is Sony. They got Spider-Man and Venom, those clever bastards.
I don't know.
But what is this over here? Lionsgate? Man, fuck you, Lionsgate. What did you have? Man-Thing. I wonder how much they bought that for. Lionsgate is like, we'll come in and
we have a superhero too, guys.
$5.
Get that shit on my face.
Joe, that's Marvel Studios' character. I don't know. It must have changed hands when they were playing poker one day, and Lionsgate was at the table. And then finally, Universal Pictures has Namor, right? That's fucking stupid too. But who knows, man? You made Thor fucking badass. And Thor, I never really considered to be top tier and awesome, but he is now. So who knows? But Marvel could get those back. So I'm pretty sure Marvel doesn't give a fuck about Namor and Man-Thing.
No.
But they do give a fuck about these, which they were clever. They bought 20th Century Fox, got all those characters back. They just need to get Spider-Man and Venom. And Sony knows it. So Sony has them over the barrel, Joe. They do, because they own the rights. And unless you give them $7 billion, they ain't giving them back to you. That's the story. What do you guys think? Comment down below. There's the full context and everything right at the end of the video. Sorry about that. And but now you know. See you guys on the next Angry Joe Show. Big news.